Today on the Tom Kelly Show, we're going to do a quickie. OJ Simpson. He died. I thought more people would pay attention to OJ dying and there would be more reminiscing about the craziness of the OJ trial. And in the end, that didn't happen. And then we may talk about a quick minute on the death of a comedy club owner, guy Anthony DiNapoli, who owned a comedy club. When I was starting out in show business. And yeah, that's the tease. Let's start the show.
The Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
And here we go. Content warning. Spoiler alert. I am podcasting in the dark. You are experiencing a Alone in the Car edition of the Tom Kelly Show. OJ is dead, and I've done four. Yeah, and I'm on number 5, and I'm not stopping now. I'm not stopping. I'm a minute into the show, and I am not stopping. I've stopped like 90 times today. Here's the truth, people. I have a bunch of podcast episodes that I have recorded but have not edited, on the road episodes. And then OJ died. And I feel like, I put a couple of OJ jokes out on Facebook, and I was actually surprised that OJ didn't get more nostalgia on social media and from the press than I thought he did. Now, pause. This is the Tom Kelly Show, the podcast where one comedian, Tom Kelly, is sick about whining about his life and gets back to having fun. And hit subscribe and all that if you're new. Leave a note, leave a comment, all that jazz, whatever you have to do for a podcast. But I'm going to be ashamed to admit this, but I enjoyed the spectacle that was the OJ Simpson trial. Let me own it. Let me admit it. It was a big part of my youth. It was, and listen, I'm a dick for saying this. 2 real people died. OJ Simpson was accused of killing his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. And I'm not going to rehash the whole OJ trial. I'm not even going to rehash what it meant to me, or maybe I will. It was a spectacle. It was a media effing spectacle, people. A media effing spectacle. And I got caught up in it. And, getting caught up in that spectacle was probably, I don't know, part of my youth. And so you're right. I'm not nostalgic about OJ Simpson. I have a funny joke that, and the premise is OJ Simpson killed as many women as Alec Baldwin. The difference is OJ Simpson was found not guilty. Alec confessed. But whereas when I tell that Alec Baldwin joke, I feel like you joke about horrible things, or I feel like inappropriate humor keeps horrible things in the zeitgeist. Whereas OJ, it kind of just became a spectacle. I don't know if there was any depth to OJ humor. Like, listen, my first joke on my late night talk show when I had one in college was, what was OJ Simpson's email password //escape? Yeah, that's OJ. So, listen, God, I thought that OJ dying would be like a week of OJ being back in the news. And when the light goes out on your little camera, that's the moment when you know it's time to keep the podcast short. But I think, listen, I enjoyed, and I would watch it in college in my little room with Sean Amor and Kevin Lamoureux. I would watch the OJ trial. And Sean watched his soap operas. He loved his Days of Our Lives. And I loved on CNN the real life trial of OJ. I learned stuff about the justice system. I still swear to this day I would not have convicted OJ if I were presented the evidence I saw on CNN during that trial. I'm not saying he's not guilty. I'm saying I would have found him not guilty. I'm definitely not saying he's innocent. And yeah, here's my thing on this is, you know, am I sad about the death of OJ Simpson? No. And I think what happened was OJ became like the butt of every joke in America. Jay Leno did his jokes, Letterman did his jokes, blah, blah, blah. And the moral of the story is, we grew up. In college, when OJ Simpson was found not guilty, my college buddies, I was a sophomore in college, we ran around campus banging pots and pans, and we had an OJ Simpson, a free OJ party. It was some sort of a 3-day weekend. I want to say it was a Jewish holiday, that it was like whatever it was. I had a free OJ party where we had orange juice and vodka, and Steve Zawistowski was mad that I got the Grove Stand orange juice. That was with the extra pulp. So apparently people don't like screwdrivers with extra pulp. I don't have anything else to say except for, man, it was a mess. My first joke ever on my late night talk show in college was, what is OJ's email password? //escape. And there you go. And I guess the last one I wanted to reminisce on, and again, if I haven't said this already, I've done 5 takes on the show. I can't remember what I've said and what I haven't said anymore. I have better shows coming up. I've shot them. They just require a little bit of effort to edit. I was living in a tiny house for a couple of days at my friend Abby's house, up in the Finger Lake region of New York. I have a couple of crazy open mic podcasts I've done. And I'm doing sort of stand-up, sort of vacation in California next week. I'm doing 2 shows this coming Friday, April 19th, and then Sunday, April 21st at the Comedy Chateau in North Hollywood, California. And I guess talking about that comedy show is a great way to talk about this next guy who passed away, this guy, Anthony DiNapoli. Anthony owned the Ha Comedy Club. And I have stories I wanted to tell, and I'm going to hold back on them. I'm just going to say that I was young, he was young, the comedy club was the Wild West of comedy at the time. It felt like, and again, kind of like with OJ. I don't know if I'm nostalgic or sad about the passing of my friend, friend is a word, Anthony DiNapoli, but it was a very, very imperfect friend. He was a bit of a dick when he was up and his comedy club was at its best. And I really liked him most when he was down, lost his business, and he would just, shoot Facebook messages to talk comic books. He was complex. I want to tell a story about how he was a dick to me once. And then I kind of want to tell stories about how I laughed with him. And, when he was at his best, he loved his family. When he was at his best, he made the comedians feel like a part of his family. And after 24 hours of reflection, I decided that is the exact note on which I want to end that reflection. Anthony DiNapoli, the comedians I met at Ha Comedy Club, you know what, you mean a lot more to me than I care to admit. And the emotions are so much more complex that, you know what, man, this is the first time in almost 400 episodes I'm at a loss for words. So at that loss of words, I promise you, there are a bunch of episodes coming up where I have plenty of words to say. Stay tuned for those. Good night, New York.